Welcome to week 5 of BIB 115, Introduction to Greek. I trust that your weeks are going well, and it will take about 10 hours to do this material. But remember, the goal is to be able to volume read Greek, and ultimately in this program, Greek and Hebrew, where you can sit down and read through the Pentateuch in Hebrew over the course of 5 days, where you can read through the New Testament Greek New Testament once every 2 months. That's the goal, to be able to volume read, to get to the place where it's comfortable to read 10 pages of Greek every day and to read 3 chapters in the Hebrew Bible every day. That's kind of the goal of this. The byproduct is seeing incredible biblical theology, see the beautiful, elegant, meta-narrative, plot symmetrical connections in Scripture, and ultimately to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and to read any commentator, ancient, medieval, or modern, and say, okay, this is who supports the right view, and this is why, and this is how the language supports it. And so that's what we're after. It's a very lofty goal, and so let's dive in. So as always, we'll take a look at the quiz first. And so we have our next 25 words. And we will learn those. We will learn some forms, the imperfect active, indicative, aorist, present active participle. That's a new one for us. And then wonderful translation we'll learn today. The original, the Lord's Prayer. And then we'll look at a passage that the Lord's Prayer actually alludes to, Ezekiel 36, and we'll look at several parts of that, and that will be our task for this week. So as we look at the textbook, let me get this where I can see the textbook with you. I think I have so many things open right now. Oh, here we are. So this is our textbook, and we want to start out every week with the vocabulary. And so hasas hasan is as much as or as great as. That one was a little hard for me. Maybe you'll come up with a good mnemonic device. Kaleo comes straight into English as call, I will call. We're going to learn eventually that that's what's called a liquid future. I call, I will call. I called, I have been called, I was called. Of course, all of these are extra credit. Kaleo is the only one required of the quiz. Soma is body. We get the term psychosomatic from it. Day is it is necessary. It will be necessary. It was necessary. Hosper is just as. Ditto me, we've already had. I give. I give, I will give, I gave, I have given, I have been given, I was given. Eti, still, I had to work on that when I started. Phusis, we've seen the related verb root, imphusiao, to in nature. So phusis is just the noun form. Mikros is small. Dunamai is to be able, to be powerful enough. Hosta, with the result that. Arche, we've already had in beginning. It can also mean rule. Hekastos is each of several. Hemera is day. We get the word ephemeral in English from this word. Fuo is to bring forth, beget, produce. Hapos, just another form of pas upon, all. Moios is like, noon or nooni, same thing, now. Gay is earth. We get the word geology from it. Dunamis is power. Kalos is beautiful. Calligraphy, I think we get from this. Kurios is Lord or Master. In the Septuagint, this word is also used to the Tetragrammaton YHWH. Malan is rather. Hade, hade, atade, this or the following. And then halos, straight in English, is the word whole. Interesting vocabulary. I don't think it will be too hard. The main thing that we're learning are the indicative forms for the imperfect. And if you remember from the previous week that verbs can have time, past, present, future, but also have type of action, punctiliar, iterative, or durative. And so when you talk about the imperfect, you're emphasizing a continuous or repeated action. And so that's what this I was loosing, you were loosing, he, she, or it was loosing. So this part will be the temporal augment. That lets you know that what's happening is happening in the past. And then the ending part of the word we have here is what is denoting the repeated nature. So lu is the root. And so you have the temporal augment is the beginning part of it. And then you have the end is the actual how it happened. So this is the past continual, something that happens over and over. And so what you'll want to do is you'll want to memorize these endings with the temporal augment. And I had meant to have this done before. What you do with any verb is you put a temporal augment that shows it's in the past, and then the ending will tell you the type of action. So this is an imperfect active indicative. Now, same thing with the aorist. You have the temporal augment, but you have sa, sen, samen, sate, san. Very similar to the endings, but this lets you know it's the generic. It's just saying it happened. Now, tricky thing is a second aorist. So when you are memorizing any or learning any language, there are going to be regular verbs and irregular verbs. And the irregular verbs are usually the ones that are used the most, but they also have a strange form. And the same thing happens in Greek. And to have a second aorist, there are only a handful of verbs that have second aorist, but to have a second aorist, you'll use the imperfect ending. So that's what you've already learned. The temporal augment, you've already learned. But the interior part of the verb will have a root change. That is a change in spelling. I call these the go, went, gone verbs. In English, a little child is learning and you'll hear him say, I goed outside. Well, why is he saying that? He's saying that because he knows ED is how you put a verb in past tense, but go isn't a regular verb. It's irregular, so it's a go, went, gone verb. Well, you have the same thing in Greek, and it's only about 75 or so that are irregular, but they happen to be ones that are used a lot. So to have a second aorist, you have the imperfect endings, but you have the root of the verb changes. So lambano is I take, so elabon is I took. Participles are simply the ing form of the verb. So loosing, of him loosing, to or for him loosing. If I'd done all these in red, you would see that those are the endings that are added, but it's simply a way to make a verb into an adjective, a verbal adjective. This is the participle of the verb to be, and you can see it's just the endings. So once you learn the endings, you've by default learned the participle of verb to be. Future participle, add a sigma, being about to do something. And then the aorist, the second aorist is simply the root change with a D augmented. So you take the lengthened part off and then just use your normal participial endings. Fairly straightforward. And then for our readings, let me just get this out of the way, and we will pull up Logos here. So the first thing, let me get Logos where I can see it. We want to look at the Lord's Prayer. So this is going to be helpful in that we kind of know what it already says, and we have Zerwick to help us. Thus, therefore, you all pray. And this is a present active imperative. It means continually pray. Pray like this all the time. You all pray like this all the time. Father of us, the one in the heavens, plural, hagiasato ta animasu. And hagiasato is an interesting word because it's from the word hagiadzo, I make holy. And this ending is an aorist, the theto ending, for some reason is not letting me just highlight that. The theto ending is a third singular aorist passive imperative. Be made holy. The name of you be made holy. The kingdom of you come. The thelema of you come about. So this is the that same theto ending is from genomai, become. So the will of you become, as in heaven, also from upon earth. The bread of us, the existence bread, so epiousion, the daily ration that we need. Maybe even an allusion to Proverbs, I think. Don't give me riches, don't give me too much, give me exactly what I need. Another imperative, give to us today, and throw away for us the debts of us, as even we have forgiven those who owe us. You should not lead us into testing. So all these are imperatives. This is a subjunctive. We'll learn what that means. But deliver us, back to an aorist imperative, from the evil. Now, great thing, great prayer to learn. You can't study this too much. I make this part of my time with God every day to memorize this, to say it more than once. Jesus is saying, pray like this all the time. Two versions of it, slightly different in Luke. So I think he's saying, don't just say the words, pray the ideas. But what's interesting about this passage is when you realize that this first bit, your name be made holy, actually may be quoting, or at least alluding to, Ezekiel 36. And in my mind, Ezekiel 36 is one of the central passages in all the Bible. It connects everything. And notice that we have the phrase here, kai hagiaso, and this is God speaking. And if you go look at the context, this is Ezekiel's expansion of the new covenant. He and Jeremiah are rough contemporaries. Ezekiel is younger, but they may have known each other. Hagiadzo ta'anamamu, it's spelling out the new covenant in Jeremiah 31 through 34, but it's kind of the study Bible notes. It's a fuller understanding. And so one of the promises that God makes as part of the new covenant, I will make holy the name of me, the great one. I will make my great name holy. And so Jesus, when he's teaching his disciples to pray, he's beginning to teach them to pray that the promises of the new covenant will be fulfilled. And so I will make holy my name, the great one, the one having been profaned. So this is aorist passive of biblao, having been desecrated, profane. And Paul talks about in Romans 2 to Christian Jews who are judging Christian Gentiles. He says, how can you look down on the Gentiles as somehow bad when you have profaned God's name? I will make holy my name, the great one, the having been profaned among the Gentiles one, and in case we missed it, which you profaned in their midst. And the nations will know, future of gnosko, that I am kurios, in thee, me to be made holy. So this is another articular infinitive. When I am made holy in you, in front of their eyes. So really interesting promise, but apparently Jesus is alluding to that in Ezekiel 36:23. And then 24 and 25 spells out how God's name will be made holy. And these are a series of unilateral, unconditional promises. And I will take you from the Gentiles, and I will muster you. I will, in Hebrew, radically gather you together from all the lands, and I will lead you into your own land, and I will sprinkle upon you pure water. Moses had sprinkled bloody water, and that put the people under the Mosaic covenant. This is the people, God being the priest, and he's putting the people under a different covenant. I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be mega cleansed. So this is a compound version of that same word. Katharizo. Well, take that back. It's not a compound, but it's the pure word. You will be made pure from all your impurities. So that's an alpha privative. And from all your idols, I will cleanse you. And then I think that's as far as we went. It is. So fantastic passage. Take your time, work through. Again, we'll have an optional synchronous time once you've worked through a synchronous time to come together, and you can ask questions. And hope you have a great week studying this, and I'll look forward to talking to you next time.